In the last few days, across multiple platforms, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken a lot about the work that his government has done in the last 9.5 years. He has made a very strong pitch to be re-elected as the Prime Minister of the country for the third term. He has spoken about making the country among developed countries of the world by 2047, and he has also spoken about a new world order. To make sense of most of these statements, we have with us a senior minister from the Modi cabinet, Mr. Hardeep Puri. Mr. Puri is the Minister for Urban Development and also the Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas. He has been a bureaucrat in his earlier avatar. He knows governance and also the politics of governance. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us. I start with a very basic question. This has been on everybody's mind since the PM spoke about it on Independence Day. A developed country by 2047. That sounds ambitious, it sounds challenging. Are we on the right track?
First of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. Your question goes to the heart of the 9.5 years of the Modi government. When the Prime Minister exudes confidence, and not just confidence, but comes out with a roadmap of what we will be like, let's say in 2030 and then in 2047, he's exuding that confidence based on some solid, statistical, empirically verifiable data. So this 2047 Sankalp, developed nation, is not only a realistic target, expectation, but I have been on record many a times to say that 2047 is an indicator, but we would be a developed nation even before that. Now, why do I say that? First of all, insofar as what constitutes development. Clearly, the size of your economy, your GDP, the development of various core sectors, the issue on whether the core developmental indices reflect that they have percolated down to those who are the most vulnerable members of society, and where will you stand in terms of the rest of the world. All right. Now, let me start at the basics. The economy in India today is doing well. When you talk about a 6 or a 6.5% rate of growth, that in and of itself, I think, is not unimpressive. It's pretty impressive. But what are you comparing this to? You're comparing this to other countries which have had a track record of fast growth. The United States of America, a leading economy in the world, $26 trillion or thereabouts. China, the second largest economy, anywhere around $17, $18 trillion GDP. Europe, today we've traveled from being the 10th largest economy to being the 5th largest economy. And the Prime Minister says with that same confidence that during his third term, India will be amongst the 3 largest economies in the world. That third term, you're looking at a time frame of 24 to 29. All right. Why are we so confident? We are not confident. It's the figures which are speaking. Today, if you end 2023, I'm talking about the calendar year, with a GDP of 3.75 trillion or 3.8 trillion, the 2 economies which are ahead of us in terms of GDP are the German and the Japanese economy. One is at 4.1, the other 4.3. If you are growing at 6.5%, and the other economies have either flat growth, I mean, I'm talking about, I don't want to take any names, one economy which traditionally last many years, last 5 or 10 years, has been have virtually 1% or another economy, very large economy, has had quarter on quarter decline, which is your definition for a big R. So it's not that you draw any satisfaction from the others not doing well. You merely take the existing reality and how we are going forward. How can we be confident about going forward? You look at all your consumption indices. Energy. Your energy consumption today, madam, is 3 times the global average. Okay. You look at the growth, let me just say, completely off the cuff, your automobile sector, forget that. Let me come to civil aviation. You know, even in parts of the country which had access issues, today the number of flights is way beyond, I mean, let's say J&K, way beyond what they were even in the pre-COVID times. Let me move completely away from this. That green transition that you are doing. Why is anyone therefore surprised that the Prime Minister, based on those 9.5 years, I mean, if its starting point in 2014, he had turned around and said, we will be a $5 trillion economy by 2025, you could have turned back and said, hey, wait a minute, isn't there a bit of a bravado there? But we started talking about $5 trillion economy by 2025 and a $10 trillion economy by 2030 only recently, when we saw that we had moved in the range of $3 trillion plus. So I think when the Honorable Prime Minister talks about the economy, he does so with a full understanding of what is happening on the ground. And he is also confident that this can be sustained in the coming year till the next election takes place and thereafter. Therefore, these are not predictions. These are projections based on the current reality and the trends which are evident.
Mr. Puri, when we are talking about your ministries, one of the projects that the PM has often praised is the way the parliament was built in record time. Can you share some learnings that you had from executing this project, and how was your experience?
I think the first question that must have struck the Honorable Prime Minister is, why has it taken us so long to think of a new parliament and a new set of government buildings? Buildings that were constructed in the 1920s were never designed for a newly independent India or to be the legislature of a newly independent India. It's not that people didn't talk about it. Functionaries, including leaders in the Congress party, have spoken about it. In fact, when Shrimati Meera Kumar was the speaker, her secretary wrote to the secretary in my ministry saying it's about time we got a new parliament built. Look, my association with this project goes back to the time I was appointed or joined the Council of Ministers, 3rd September 2017. A few days after I joined, I received a huge thing to be opened by the addressee, which is me. There were large pictures of the seat of governance, many places, Washington, D.C., Australia, Brasilia, all of them. Obviously, somebody had been studying this. I have no doubt who was looking at that, who this somebody was, and had been studying and looking at what is required. Now, it's very interesting that in 2017, when I joined, I was not aware of the fact that actually in 2026, the delimitation issue will crop up. As against the current number, the number of MPs in the Lok Sabha will go up by quite a bit. So even for the current number, you don't have the sitting space. And you know, you extracted the sitting space behind the pillars, you should not be sitting. We did that. We have taken, extra air conditioning ducts. You've taken, made ducts for, and it has moved in the seismic zone. So you urgently need to refurbish that, re-strengthen, etc. So, but here is a Prime Minister who saw it well in time, and the rest is history. But I think it will rank, and I say this without any hesitation, it will rank amongst one of the most splendid and a place people will want to come and see, because it combines our historical, our legacy, culture, etc., with modernity.
So when you talk about, I mean, this is about your other ministry, when you talk about inflation around fuel prices, can you explain to us what all did you do to navigate the question of diplomacy around oil? And how was the PM sort of involved in this? And in the coming days, would you see oil companies sort of like passing on their gains to common people?
Well, first and foremost, let me just state upfront for you and your viewers that our energy consumption is shooting up. Today, 5 million barrels a day of crude oil we are consuming. It's likely to go up to 6.5 in the coming time. We have three challenges, or rather we had three challenges, we still have three challenges. One is availability. For a country which is dependent on imports, up to 80% for its crude oil and about 50% or so for natural gas, clearly what happens in the rest of the world is of importance to us. Second one is affordability. And the third one is sustainability. This is what I call the trilemma. Insofar as availability is concerned, I think, yes, we were able to diversify our sources of supply, which were at 27 earlier, to 39 now. We have been absolutely flexible, without hesitation. If we could buy crude cheaper somewhere or more readily somewhere, we use the market card, because we also realize that we have that advantage. Let me give you an example. When the military action took place, Russia-Ukraine, in February 2020, we bought hardly any oil from the Russians. I think, if memory serves me right, 0.2% or so only. That suddenly changed, and we started buying more and more and more oil. Now, of late, last 2-3 months, that has become less. We are buying more oil from Iraq, more from the UAE. Oil purchases are not undertaken by the government. It's not that the ministry gets in and buys the oil. There are private sector players and there are what we call the OMCs, or oil marketing company. All of them have one thing in common, that they want to access the maximum amount at the cheapest price. So they will follow, they will issue tenders, and whoever applies, they will get it. The government has an important role to play, because if the international prices, which went up from $19.56 for a barrel in when the lockdown was complete, well, there was no consumption, then it shot up to $120. Now, if there's such a variation, there will be winners and there will be losers. The winners, those who produce the oil, obviously they'll be very happy the price has gone up. Some of those people who are in the refining business and reselling the business will be reasonably happy. But there are others, consumers also. A lot of people take a beating. So I can give you same thing for gas if international prices go up. But I want to first give you some comparative figures. I always believe that comparisons have to be amongst roughly similarly placed countries, etc. But what did the government do? On two occasions, November 2021 and May 2022, the central government, largely the Prime Minister with others, joining in. I'll tell you why I mean the other. We reduced the excise on petrol and diesel on two occasions. The BJP ruled states also brought down the VAT that they charge. Okay. Now, if you see the prices between different listing in Guwahati, now I'm comparing July 23 to July 23, because we are now in August, so July month, we are 16 days or so into August. Guwahati petrol was retailing at 98 rupees, 3 paise. In Kolkata, it was retailing at 106 rupees and 3 paise, difference of 8 rupees. Between Gandhinagar and Jaipur, the difference was 96.63 in Gandhinagar, 108.48 in Jaipur. Difference of 11 rupees 85 paisa. Vasudha ji, I tell you another thing. You don't buy 1 liter of petrol. Depending on the vehicle that you use, your tank may be 30 liters or it may be 50 liters or even more. Just imagine if it's a 50 liters tank and the difference in price per liter is 11 rupees 85 paisa. 50 multiplied by 11.85, that's a sizable difference. I will come now to diesel. I'll give you one example. In July 23 comparison period, Imphal, 87 rupees 15 paise, diesel per liter. Hyderabad, 97 rupees 82 paise. Difference of 10 rupees 67 paise. Again, I put that same multiplier. Then in other words, if you go into one of these states and you have a capacity of 50, I mean, you're out of a sizable amount of money. It may not affect the very well-to-do. Gandhinagar and Amravati, 7 rupees 23 pice difference. 92.38 in Gandhinagar and 99.61 in Amravati. Okay. Now, I am just going to go away from that and come to country comparison. What is the increase that took place between June 21 and June 23? I'm taking a 2-year period. India, the increase was 2.36%. All right? Let me give you some countries in India's immediate neighborhood. Pakistan, 50.83% increase. In Sri Lanka, 79.61% increase. Nepal, 42.39% increase. USA, 30.15% increase. Canada, 24.17% increase. Let me go to diesel now, very quickly. In increase, ours is 4.97%, Pakistan 40.81%, Bangladesh 50.11%, Sri Lanka 130.65%, Nepal 46.35%. Just compare it with USA 29.31%. All right, you can turn around and say, well, countries are placed in different circumstances. One country they can afford, it doesn't matter. I'm not going into that. I'm taking the same country for the same period. In other words, if there was an affordability in June 21, it doesn't change very much in June 23. Look at the percentage changes. So I make the submission to you, madam, that we were able to ensure availability. At no time in the last few years have we allowed any form of shortage, including during the torrential rains in the northeast. Our oil marketing company, their people carried cylinders on their shoulders and delivered them in the heavy rain. Affordability, I gave you the statistics. Availability, affordability, and sustainability is the best story. Our biofuel percentage is going up. The work we are doing on CNG is showing results. CBG, we are not only now doing ethanol production from the traditional feed, which is sugar, maize. We are also going into 2G. 2G means making it from agricultural waste. Instead of burning the parali, we have a plant in Panipat where we make ethanol from that.
But Mr. Puri, the price of LPG cylinders, is it a concern? Because, it's also become a political subject because in this whole guarantee ecosystem of the Congress, the party is promising LPG cylinders at reduced rates. It did the same in Karnataka, Himachal Pradesh. So is there any...
No, let me place a perspective to you. When we talk about affordability, which means we are subsidizing, okay? A subsidy on gas cylinders, even at any given point of time, including today, is not less than 9,000-10,000 crores per year, maybe a little less or maybe a little more. What is involved in this? Our companies took, during this period, they incurred a loss of 28,000 crores. So we reimbursed 22,000 crores to them. That is our style of doing it. We take the rap, we take the consequences, and then we do it. There's another style of doing this, which is the current Reverie brand of politics. You promise. Now, you might reach a stage, I won't name the state, where anybody will pay anything for electricity. But where is the money going to come from? The Congress, during the years that they were in power, 2004 and 14, very interestingly, they were faced with a problem like this. So what they decided to do, they decided to float oil bonds. So I think the oil bonds were 1,41,000 crores. And you know how much we're paying back now? 3,50,000 crores. So the submission I make to you is it a political issue? Well, I'll tell you, the guy who came in wearing a har of tomato, so, it's a graphic thing. So I joked with him. I said, oh, cylinder bhi gale mein dal ke le aate. He knew I was pulling his leg. But seriously, government will make all efforts, including bringing the price of the gas cylinder down. We are already providing one subsidy of 200 rupees per cylinder. But more than that, do you know during the pandemic, the government supplied 3 cylinders free. That's why, and cylinder consumption including amongst, and these are only for economically weaker section and those who live below the poverty line. The consumption has gone up from 3 cylinders to 3.71 cylinders, and 4 cylinders is what an average consumption should be. I take your point. Gas cylinder prices, it will depend on the global situation. Obviously, the price is going up, but I'm very confident that we've navigated this well, and even the time to come also, that the government is seized of it and they will receive. But we will do it in a responsible manner. Some of the others who are promising relief actually are not being able to pay up.
Absolutely, sir. My second last question to you. We're talking about the opposition. Tell us, what do you feel about this INDIA alliance? Aam Aadmi Party and Congress have already started showing some disagreements, especially with regard to Delhi and Punjab. Tell us, do you really think that these opposition parties have the potential in them to sort of put forward a formidable opposition to the BJP?
No, I would forget about a formidable opposition. I have a very simple take on this. Most of them, if you analyze their, recent history, the Aam Aadmi Party is a relative new arrival. It's a political startup. Where were they born? They were born out of a agitation against entrenched corruption. So today they want to get into bed with somebody whom they defined as entrenched corruption. That is something they will have to respond to. My own take is they will collapse under the weight of their own contradictions and the corruption which goes with it. Now, the TMC is unlikely to be happy to be in alliance with the Congress or the CPIM in West Bengal. And the Congress, as you say, madam, is not likely to be happy, or the Aam Aadmi Party happy with each other in Punjab and in Delhi. And I can go on giving these examples.
Mr. Puri, my last question to you. What about your own future, sir? Would you be also contesting elections? Because
listen, I have a term in the Rajya Sabha till November of 2026. I have been greatly privileged to have been associated with the party as it is. I'm a Karyakarta of the party, and that's the way I want to stay.
But we see you so active in Delhi. So
no, I'm active because I have good friends like you who engage me in conversation. But no, I think, Lok Sabha seats should be contested by younger people so that you nurture constituency. I think I'm ready to continue working, but I don't think the pace can be accelerated beyond this.
That's well said, sir. Thank you so much for your insights and time.
Thank you.